Stand at the edge of hell and jump. 83 islands where tribes speak 113 languages. Where volcanoes breathe. Where gravity becomes ceremony. Where the Pacific Ocean hides its final secret. Welcome to Vanuatu, the adventure you never knew existed. Between Australia and Fiji, a chain of islands curves through the South Pacific like a question mark. Vanuatu, 83 islands. 12,000 square kilometers of land scattered across 680,000 square kilometers of ocean. Most travelers have never heard the name, those who have rarely come. Last year, these islands received 330,000 visitors. Fiji, 2 million. Bali, 6 million. Vanuatu remains what the Pacific was before we discovered it. The Republic of Vanuatu, 320,000 people. Melanesian by culture. Independent since 1980. Once called the New Hebrides when France and Britain jointly governed these islands in history's strangest colonial arrangement. But that story matters less than what exists today. Active volcanoes. Underwater caves glowing blue. Rainforests concealing waterfalls. Reefs where visibility reaches 60 meters. And culture, raw, unfiltered, impossibly alive. Port Vila, the capital. 45,000 people, one of the Pacific's most relaxed cities. No skyscrapers, no traffic jams. Just harbors full of yachts, markets selling tropical fruit, and locals who greet strangers like returning friends. This is where most journeys begin, not because Vila demands attention, but because it teaches rhythm. Island time, Pacific pace, the understanding that urgency is Western invention. From Vila, the archipelago spreads north and south. Efate, the main island. Espiritu Santo, the largest. Hana, home to accessible volcanoes. Pentecost, birthplace of extreme ritual. Molecula, keeper of ancient traditions. Ambrin, the island that breathes sulfur. Each island distinct. Each holding experiences impossible elsewhere. This is not resort destination. No all-inclusive compounds. No luxury buffets. No spa treatments overlooking infinity pools. What Vanuatu offers is raw, more honest, more challenging, and for those seeking actual adventure rather than vacation photographs, more rewarding than anywhere else in the South Pacific. Tanna Island, 35 kilometers long, 19 wide, population 30,000, home to one of Earth's most active and accessible volcanoes, Mount Yasur, 600 meters of raw geological violence that has been erupting continuously for at least 800 years, possibly much longer. Most active volcanoes require expeditions, permits, technical climbing. Yasur requires a four-wheel drive and nerve. The road from the coast climbs through jungle, then emerges onto ash plains. Black sand, sulfur crystals, steam vents, the landscape of other planets. Park at the base, walk 15 minutes up ash slopes, no ropes, no special equipment, just your legs and the knowledge that beneath your feet, magma churns 300 meters deep. Then you reach the rim, and everything changes. Everything changes. The crater is 400 meters across. Inside, lava lake boils. Every few minutes, sometimes seconds, the mountain erupts. Not metaphorically, actually erupts. Magma bombs launch hundreds of meters into air. Lava fountains spray molten rock. Shockwaves pulse through your chest. This is not simulation, not controlled experience. This is standing at creation's forge while it pounds metal into existence. Safety is relative here. Guards monitor activity. If the volcano becomes too aggressive, they evacuate the rim. But, too aggressive is subjective when you're watching liquid earth explode. Visitors have been hit by volcanic bombs. Small ones, mostly. It happens. Risk is part of the equation. Yasur doesn't pretend to be safe. It is volcano. You are visitor. Act accordingly. Night is when Yasur reveals full majesty. Darkness amplifies the glow. Each eruption illuminates clouds red. Lava bombs arc like tracer rounds. The heat becomes visible. Waves distorting air, turning observers into shimmering ghosts. Stand here long enough and you understand why ancient peoples worship volcanoes. This is power that makes human achievement irrelevant. This is Earth reminding you who's in charge. The locals, the Vanuatu of Tanna, live with this violence daily. They hear eruptions from villages. They farm ashen-rich soil around the base. Their children play in sight of smoke. Yasur isn't tourist attraction to them. It's neighbor. Temperamental, occasionally dangerous neighbor that happens to be mountain of fire. Espiritu Santo, the largest island. 65 kilometers long. Site of major World War II American military base. 4,000 square kilometers of jungle, mountains, and coastline. And beneath the waves off its western shore, one of the South Pacific's most extraordinary dive sites. The SS President Coolidge, 200 meters long. Luxury ocean liner converted to troop transport. Struck 2 American mines in 1942. Sank in 90 minutes. All but 2 of the 5,000 men aboard survived. The ship now rests between 20 and 70 meters deep. Intact, accessible, extraordinary. Diving the Coolidge is time travel. Swim through the promenade. See chandeliers still hanging. Ceramic tiles spelling the ship's name. Toilets and sinks. The captain's bathroom with porcelain intact. In the cargo holds, jeeps sit exactly where they were loaded. Rifles rust in racks. Helmets rest on shelves. Gas masks hang from hooks. But the Coolidge's masterpiece sits in the first-class section. The Lady. A life-sized ceramic statue of a woman holding a unicorn, covered now in soft coral and surrounded by fish. Divers swim past her slowly, respectfully, this artwork surviving when so much else decayed. She's become icon, symbol of beauty persisting through catastrophe. The Coolidge isn't the only underwater attraction. $1 Million Point earned its name from waste. At war's end, Americans offered to sell military equipment to French and British colonizers. They refused, expecting free handouts. So the Americans bulldozed everything into the ocean. Jeeps, trucks, bulldozers, tractors, forklifts, thousands of Coca-Cola bottles. Millions of dollars of equipment pushed into the sea rather than give it away. Now it's dive site, snorkeling destination, historical monument to spite. But Santo's underwater treasures extend beyond human history. Blue holes puncture the island like portals to another dimension. These underwater caves, filled with impossibly blue water, drop through limestone into aquifers below. Snorkeling above them, you float over void. Sunlight penetrates 50 meters deep. The blue is electric, unnatural, so vivid your brain struggles processing it as real. Nanda Blue Hole. Matevulu Blue Hole. Riri Blue Hole. Each slightly different. Each impossibly beautiful. Local custom prohibits women from entering Nanda, traditional taboos still respected. The others welcome everyone. Swim in water so clear it disappears. Float above depths that challenge comprehension. Experience blue you'll spend rest of your life trying to describe. Pentecost Island, 60 kilometers long, 12,000 inhabitants. Home to tradition that inspired modern bungee jumping. But calling land diving bungee jumping is like calling Yasur hot. Technically accurate, completely inadequate. Every April through June, men from southern Pentecost villages construct towers. Not with steel, not with rope, just wood and vines, 20 to 30 meters tall. Platforms at various heights, and from these platforms, tied to the tower by ankle vines, men jump. The purpose is multiple: fertility ritual, yam harvest blessing, proof of courage, entertainment. Different villages emphasize different meanings. But the mechanics remain constant. Climb the tower, tie vines to ankles. Jump. The vines stretch, your head touches earth, ideally just touches, blessing the soil. The vines rebound, you're pulled up alive, having proven something to yourself, your community, and whatever gods watch humans tempt death for tradition. Boys as young as 7 jump from lower platforms, teenagers from middle heights. Men prove themselves from the top. The highest jumpers gain most respect. But everyone who jumps gains something. The NGOL, as locals call land diving, isn't tourism, it's identity. Europeans seeing it in the 1950s and 60s invented elastic cord versions. Sanitized it, made it safe. The original remains beautifully, terrifyingly unsafe. Vines occasionally break. Jumpers occasionally miscalculate. Injuries happen. Deaths have occurred, though rarely. The risk is acknowledged, accepted, integral to the ritual's meaning. Jumping without danger would be jumping without purpose. The possibility of death is the point. Visitors can watch. Pay a fee that supports the community. Photography permitted. But you're watching ceremony, not show. The divers aren't performing for tourists. They're fulfilling tradition that predates European contact. That you happen to be present is incidental. That's what makes it powerful. This would occur whether you paid attention or not. If Mount Yasur is Vanuatu's violence and land diving its courage, Champagne Beach is its peace. Arguably the finest beach in the South Pacific. Possibly the finest beach in the world. These claims get thrown around carelessly. Here, they might be justified. The sand is powdered coral and crushed shells. White bordering on pink in certain light, soft enough to feel synthetic. The water transitions through blues, pale turquoise in shallows, deeper aqua further out, cobalt at the reef, navy beyond. Each layer distinct, each perfect. The palm trees lean at angles suggesting permanent breeze. Everything about this beach looks photoshopped. Nothing is. The name comes from hot springs beneath the sand. At low tide, bubbles emerge from the seafloor. Locals call them champagne bubbles. The springs are subtle, you might not notice without guidance. But swim above them and you feel slight warmth in the water. Geological reminder that even paradise sits on volcanic foundation. Champagne Beach sees tourists. Small cruise ships anchor offshore occasionally. Daytrippers from Port Vila arrive by charter flight. But even at its busiest, the beach holds maybe 50 people on 2 kilometers of sand. Find a palm tree, claim shade, you're alone with perfection. No beach clubs, no vendors selling anything, no jet skis. Just sand, water, trees, understanding that humans occasionally get nature exactly right by doing absolutely nothing to it. This is the other Vanuatu, not volcano or ritual, not challenge or danger, just beauty. Uncomplicated, overwhelming, absolutely free beauty that asks nothing except that you recognize it. Lie in sand. Swim in water that seems to clean more than skin. Watch light change as sun moves, do nothing. For once in modern life, nothing is enough. But Vanuatu's depths haven't been fully explored. Rainforests hide waterfalls no map records. Villages maintain ceremonies the modern world doesn't acknowledge. And beneath traditional culture, questions emerge. How does paradise survive in the 21st century? How does adventure remain authentic when tourists arrive seeking it? 80% of Vanuatu is jungle, not manicured rainforest with boardwalks and interpretive signs. Actual jungle, dense, humid, occasionally hostile. The kind that requires machetes, guides who know the paths, and acceptance that you will emerge muddy, scratched, and transformed. Millennium Cave on Espiritu Santo, one of the South Pacific's longest cave systems. Getting there requires 3-hour trek through jungle and river. You walk. You climb. You swim. Then you reach the cave entrance, massive opening in cliff face where river disappears underground. Inside, the cave stretches for kilometers. Walk along the underground river. Wade through pools chest deep. Climb over boulders smooth from millennia of water flow. Headlamps illuminate walls covered in formations, stalactites, flowstone, columns where ceiling met floor over thousands of years. The darkness is complete. The silence between drips is profound. Then you emerge, not where you entered, but at the far end. A waterfall drops 60 meters into the exit pool. Light streams down, vegetation clings to walls. It's like being born into a cathedral built by time and water. Guides bring waterproof bags. You swim through the exit pool. The adventure isn't over. It's just shifting environments. The return trek follows the river, sometimes beside it, often in it, wading, swimming, scrambling over rocks. Jungle towers on both sides. Birds call from canopy. The physicality is relentless. You're tired, wet, hungry, but alive. Intensely, obviously alive in ways climate-controlled comfort never achieves. Melee Cascades on Ifata offers different waterfall experience. Easier access, multiple cascades descending through jungle in series of pools. Locals swim here, tourists swim here. Everyone jumps from rocks, scrambles up wet stone, swims in pools so cold they shock the system away. It's to be spectacular. Port Vila residents come here weekends. Families picnic on rocks. Children fearlessly leap from heights that make visitors nervous. The waterfalls aren't protected park requiring entrance fees and regulations. They're just here, available, part of daily landscape where extraordinary becomes ordinary through familiarity. Kastom, the Bislama word encompassing traditional culture, spiritual practices, customary law, and ways of being that predate European contact. In much of the Pacific, kastom survives as performance, dances for tourists, ceremonies on schedule. In Vanuatu, particularly outer islands, kastom is simply life. Yakul Village on Tanna, community choosing traditional lifestyle. No electricity, no modern clothing, no metal tools beyond what they've incorporated selectively. They wear nambas, penis sheaths for men, grass skirts for women. They live in huts with thatched roofs. They farm using techniques unchanged for centuries. This isn't museum, this isn't recreation, this is choice. Visitors pay to enter. The fee supports the community. In return, you observe, watch fire making using friction. See traditional hunting techniques. Learn about medicinal plants. Witness how humans lived for millennia before Industrial Revolution convinced us that progress meant abandoning everything that came before. But kastom extends beyond villages choosing traditional life. It permeates modern Vanuatu in subtle ways. Kava ceremonies. Every evening, men gather at nakamals, kava bars, essentially, to drink kava, the mildly narcotic root beverage central to Pacific culture. You enter in silence. Drink your shell in one go. Spit. Return to the circle. Then talk. 4 hours. About everything and nothing. Kava lubricates social connection without alcohol's aggression. Tourists can participate. Order a shell. The taste is earth mixed with numbness. It's not pleasant. Your tongue tingles. Your lips feel thick. But mild euphoria follows, relaxation, and acceptance into the circle, even temporarily. This is cultural exchange that requires no common language. Just willingness to drink mud that numbs your mouth and share space with strangers who become, briefly, companions. Grade-taking ceremonies on molecular represent kastom's more elaborate expressions. Men gain status through ceremonies involving pig sacrifices, traditional dances, and community feasts lasting days. The ceremonies require years of preparation, enormous expense, social obligation. They create hierarchy within egalitarian culture. This isn't tourism. Few outsiders witness grade takings. But they continue, maintaining social structures that have organized these societies for centuries. Vanuatu's islands aren't flat coral atolls. They're volcanic peaks, steep and vertical. This topography creates coastline where jungle meets ocean violently. Where waterfalls drop directly into the sea. Where adventure means confronting gravity. At Port Resolution on Tanna, locals dive from cliffs into deep ocean channels. Not land diving with vines, just jumping. 20 meters, 25. Whoever jumps highest gains respect. Tourists watch, occasionally participate, though usually from lower heights. The locals make it look effortless, running leap, perfect form, cutting water cleanly. Tourists belly flop and emerge humble. Kayaking along these coastlines reveals perspectives impossible from land or standard boat tours. Paddle into sea caves, explore rock formations sculpted by waves. Find tiny beaches accessible only by water. The effort is substantial. Ocean kayaking requires strength and skill, but rewards include solitude, discovery, and connection to landscape mediated only by your arms. Several operators offer guided kayak trips. Multi-day expeditions camp on beaches, cook over fires, follow coastlines few humans travel. Single-day trips explore specific areas, reef edges, mangrove channels, volcanic shores. The islands from sea level appear different. Larger. More imposing. You recognize your scale in the equation. You're very small. The islands are very large. Humility follows naturally. Hiking the island's interiors means climbing, always climbing. Trails ascend ridgelines, traverse valleys, summit peaks. The views reward effort, islands stretching away, ocean surrounding everything, clouds at eye level. But the hiking is rarely easy. Mud, roots, steep grades, tropical heat. You sweat through clothing in minutes. Leeches occasionally attach in rainforest sections. This is not leisure walking. Food is fusion before fusion became marketing term. French colonial influence means proper baguettes and pastries. Melanesian tradition brings lap, root vegetables and meat wrapped in banana leaves, cooked in earth ovens. Chinese immigration introduced stir-fries and noodles. The result is menu where you order baguette sandwich with lap filling and sweet and sour fish. It shouldn't work. It does. Night markets operate several evenings weekly. Vendors sell grilled meat on skewers, fresh fruit, tropical juices, and handicrafts. Families come. Tourists come. Everyone eats standing, moves between stalls, samples everything. Prices are low. Quality is high. The atmosphere is community gathering that happens to include commerce rather than commerce that occasionally resembles community. This is Vanuatu's accessible face, the part requiring no extreme effort. No volcano climbing, no cave swimming. Just showing up, ordering food, drinking kava or beer, talking with whoever sits nearby. Travel doesn't always demand epic experiences. Sometimes it just requires being present somewhere different, allowing that difference to seep in through conversation, food, music, and tropical air thick enough to wear. "83 islands where fire breathes and ocean surrounds. Where men jump with vines and ships rest underwater. Where culture refuses to be museum piece. Where paradise demands effort, rewards courage, and changes everyone who accepts its terms." This is not easy destination. Getting here is expensive. Infrastructure is basic. Comfort is negotiable. English is common but not universal. Rain falls without warning. Plans change. Flexibility becomes mandatory. But what Vanuatu offers in exchange is increasingly rare. Authenticity, discovery. Adventure that hasn't been packaged, sanitized, and sold. The feeling that you're traveling rather than vacationing, experiencing rather than consuming. The islands are changing, slowly, but inevitably. Each year brings more visitors. More infrastructure, more awareness. This is good for NI Vanuatu. They deserve economic opportunity. They deserve participation in global economy. They deserve to benefit from the paradise surrounding them. But it means the Vanuatu of today will not be the Vanuatu of tomorrow. The balance between accessibility and authenticity is temporary. 5 years from now, easier. 10 years from now, different. Better in some ways, changed in all ways. So perhaps the question isn't whether to visit Vanuatu. It's when. And the answer is simple. Now. Before easier becomes too easy. Before discovered becomes overcrowded. Before adventure gets replaced by vacation packages. Not to exploit the window before it closes, but to experience what deserves experiencing while it still exists as itself. Because here's what Vanuatu teaches: paradise isn't comfortable. Discovery isn't convenient. The best experiences demand something from you: effort, courage, flexibility, humility. You cannot consume Vanuatu. You can only encounter it. Accept what it offers. Leave carrying memories that refuse to compress into social media posts. Stand at the edge of erupting volcano. Dive 30 meters with ankle vines. Float above blue void. Trek through cave and emerge at waterfall. Share kava with strangers. Sleep on beach hearing nothing but waves. Wake to jungle where the world is precisely what it's always been: beautiful, dangerous, indifferent to human convenience, and absolutely worth every uncomfortable moment required to experience it properly. Vanuatu. Where fire meets ocean. Where gravity becomes ceremony. Where the Pacific hides its final secret. And where adventure, real adventure, still exists for those willing to earn it. The question is simple: are you?